Ebusuafo ne etiefo ni die kwan so me pa acho me ma obi bia akwa ababa channel so daily update ebusua ne parliament bibia sa akoso as usual Afenyo markings wo dwe but too much Afenyo adan I say mimi hu ni say Afenyo person ye bibia to be recognized. Yes, says they are the mighty so-called mighty minority, so bibia ni omo person bia te omo nkan e o say Afenyo adan Afenyo na me pacho ene parliament na Afenyo enya akwanya no sorry so kasa no kire say kenoforiata on Afreno on ne kenoforiata ide akasa na kenoforiata lawyers crampo a breaky silence or much say kenoforiata say somewhere may obeba now as or kire say kenoforiata say as wonwane ye na obeba na watcho letter akoma OSP na ma OSP na accepte ana okeka kanensem wana mahama yarga sorry no say master chairman way aha no menye the platform a de beka sansem no ade na wo kan OSP eye body a constitutional body a ono no oye na adwuma say meka ne say kenoforiata beba ana omba ono no parliament bi anhwehwe ne mu onye adwuma bi ama parliament ne so ni fa so bi ama parliament onti wapia ba bonten beka say or like say or say obeba na hwan enso mfa so a ewo parliament no enso mfa so na din oh afi okasa ya na wana speaker no so ba no kasa mpa asema mahama yarga kan ya mpa afoye ya o se okiwate afi de o se wate o hwehwe na nim na asa tempia opese obi atene nka tempia opese obi atene nka ebusu amakasa kakra yenko ni ngohwe video no for ourselves nyankopon sha na onye okesim da se bebre.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, further to statements are made in respect of some actions at the residence of the former Finance Minister, Mr. Kenoforiata. There were comments.
Honorable respected minority leader, are you coming under Order 93.1?
That is so, rightly so, sir.
Okay, and I understand you've conferred with your
That
colleague.
is so.
Very well. Okay.
Very well. Mr. Speaker, so again fortified by Order 93.1, I rise to bring to your attention that as a result of the issue I raised on the floor, which led to further comments and all that, Mr. Speaker, I had given assurances to the House that in the interests of democracy and the rule of law, and to assure the nation that this side of the House will do all it can to ensure that the Honorable Kenoforiata avails himself to attend upon the OSP. Indeed, I pursued it, I engaged him extensively, and his lawyers, Mr. Speaker, in a letter dated today, the 18th of February 2025, have written to the OSP, and for the avoidance of doubt, I shall read the content aloud. It's addressed to the Special Prosecutor, our redirection to attend the Office of Special Prosecutor. It reads, we acknowledge receipt of your letter dated the 17th of February 2025. We respectfully indicate that our client's post-mark date for his return cannot be any time before 6 to 8 weeks after the possible surgical intervention in March stated in the Mayo Clinic letter. Our client hopes that taking into account the surgery dated the 20th to 21st of March and recuperation period, he should be able to back to this jurisdiction between 14th May and 30th May 2025. We hope you find this date reasonable and same can guide your office in fixing a date for the in-person attendance of our client to your office for investigation. Having clarified the purpose and length of our client's absence,
Leader,
we hope that the tag of a
Leader,
wanted person...
Hold on, please. Yes, majority leader.
Mr. Speaker, what the minority leader is doing is conveying a communication from the lawyers of Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta to this House. Mr. Speaker, the rules of this House are clear on communications. If you go to Order 65, it is clear on communications to the House. Who qualifies to communicate to the House and who qualifies to convey the communication to the House? They are clearly spelled out in Order 65, and I think that what he's attempting to do is to convey a communication by the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta to this House, which is clearly wrong. Mr. Speaker, it is clearly wrong to attempt to be the conveyor of communication from Ken Ofori-Atta's lawyers to this House. I think that it is not acceptable, and we cannot accept communication from the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta to this House. He is not a member of this House. He is not a Minister of State. And so there's no basis for this House to be receiving communication from the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta. We haven't summoned him before any of our committees. He is not to appear before a committee. We are not investigating him. So on what basis is his lawyers communicating to us when he will come to Ghana and when he will not come to Ghana? So, Mr. Speaker, there is no basis for the communication to this House of the whereabouts of Ken Ofori-Atta. And he is not qualified to convey that message to this House. And this House cannot properly receive that message. So I object to that communication being made to this House about the whereabouts of Ofori-Atta and when he will come to Ghana. I think the matter is between him and the Office of Special Prosecutor. Let him deal with them. This House is not interested in when he will come and when he will not come. So I object to this communication being made. He can step outside and organize a press conference and tell the whole country what Ken Ofori-Atta is saying, but not to this House. So, Mr. Speaker, our orders are very clear. I object. I object.
Well, I understand he conferred with you. Probably he didn't get to know the details of it, but that's the understanding.
Mr. Speaker, I agree to the terms of his objection. I wanted to do what we call elucidation, but when it comes to the jurisprudence of the House, I think he's a champion. I won't take his title from him. Mr. Speaker, I believe that the gravamen of my submission basically is to say that pursuant to the matters that I raised on the floor, and then indeed, Mr. Speaker, again, I stood in the dispatch box to give assurance to the nation that I was engaging the man. So I was basically informing this House again that indeed the right thing has been done, the communication has been made, and I only felt that I should at least bring to the fore the content of that. But, Mr. Speaker, I agree with him. I just want to rest my case by reiterating that further to my assurance, the gentleman would be in the jurisdiction in the appointed time as communicated to the special prosecutor for the in-person interview. However, he again assures his countrymen and women that should it be that they would need him via technology, he would also be available. Mr. Speaker, I'm saying this because this matter came to the floor. This matter came to the floor, and we discussed it at length. So the majority leader, if you don't want me to tender the letter, that's fine. I agree with you. I'm not going to do that. But just to re-echo my point, to assure you and to assure the special prosecutor that the man would come into the jurisdiction to avail himself for investigation and all other things that the special prosecutor may require of him.
So,
thank you very much.
Fine. I believe we could have done it in such a way that
I only want, and as lawyers, would always be asked that lay a foundation. But it's okay. I'm not litigating I've also addressed the matter. It's because I assured the House in the dispatch box. So, Mr. Speaker, I just end it.
Very well.
Yes.
Very well.
Mr. Speaker, just for our understanding of the practice, the procedure,
Yes.
and what we can do in this House. Mr. Speaker, if you go to our standing orders, independent constitutional bodies defined, it says that independent constitutional bodies include the Electoral Commission, Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, National Commission for Civic Education, National Media Commission, Office of the Administrator of the District Assembly's Common Fund, Office of the Auditor General, Bank of Ghana, and other bodies established to have exclusive jurisdiction in the performance of assigned functions. Just for our education, the Office of Special Prosecutor is established and conferred with exclusive jurisdiction to deal with certain assigned functions. Then you come to Order 121 of our standing orders, and it says that audience to a head of an independent constitutional body. The head of an independent constitutional body may be summoned or granted audience at Committee of the Whole to brief the House on a matter of national importance. And then the head of an independent constitutional body shall not participate in debate at plenary. So there is a framework. If you really want this matter to come before this House, it can come by way of we summoning the special prosecutor to this House. And then we can ask him questions about the matter, where the matter has reached. And if you want to engage him, you can engage him at that level. So I'm not saying that nothing about it can happen, but there are procedures. And so that's why I'm urging you that if you want to really do that, go through those laid down procedures, but you don't have capacity to be conveying communications to this House.
Thank you very, very well. Honourable members, we learn each day. I think it's good that we are having this. Yes,
I rise pursuant to Order 1221A. Mr. Speaker, my point is that, one,
He said that the infection rate in the central region has a foot topping, which is true. However, in terms of vaccination, his submission points to the fact that they are yet to get approval for a foot. I felt that should rather be prioritized, because if Agona West is recording just 6 and you have 18 in a foot, and you are rather vaccinating in Agona West, you may have to look at it instead of saying that you are now seeking approval for a foot. Then, Mr. Speaker, he again talks about the sudden rise since January of the situation in Winneba. Mr. Speaker, it is so because, sometimes when there is change in power, the way our locals react, all public toilets in the Futu at the Inshona have been seized and locked. And you, the minister, fortunately you went to Winneba and you met the fisher folks at the Inshona. And that's where the problem is. So they have no place to ease themselves. And it's a problem. Given the history of this situation, and we know how people contract it. If a party comes into government and somebody thinks that, let me go and lock up a toilet. When there is cholera outbreak, it doesn't know party colors, whether you are CPP, MPP, or NDC. So I believe that is a matter that has to be looked at critically. And I'm sure that upon that, we would be able to deal with the situation and contain it. Mr. Speaker, the minister called on local government authorities to support the ministry. It is true that to enable you function and function well, you need the support of the local government institutions, led by political leaders. Mr. Speaker, fortunately, I've seen Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim the Minister of Local Government and Chieftaincy. We know that when Professor Mills, of blessed memory, assumed the reins of government, his policy was for those who were appointed by the Kufuor administration to continue until a smooth transition took place. That, Mr. Speaker, helped in a seamless governance at the local level, where some new appointments were made and there was a formal handing over. Unfortunately, this time around, the posture or the policy was different. Almost on the second day into the administration, all appointments were revoked. As we speak, there is no leadership at the local government.
Honorable Minority Leader, we are taking comment on the briefing of the Honorable Minister responsible for health on meningitis and cholera.
Mr. Speaker, the minister invited us to assist at the local level, and he talked about governance at the local level. I need to lay a foundation in respect of the comment. Mr. Speaker, the point is that there is no political leadership at the local government level. I am calling on the Minister of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs to expedite the process. Because, Mr. Speaker, all the policies of government, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, the implementation agent, the implementation authority is given to the MMDC. Everything would end there. Without the MMDC, government policy cannot be implemented at the local level. As it is today, we only have the coordinating directors acting. They are unable to even call assembly meetings. So, Mr. Speaker, as part of the call by the Minister of Health, I believe that to enable him roll out these interventions effectively, the Minister of Local Government may also have to support by expediting action on the appointment of MMDCs so that together they can roll this out. Our people are suffering, Mr. Speaker. Our people are suffering. And without political leadership, it will be difficult. Second and final, he also called on support from the healthcare professionals. He, in fact, commended their industry thus far. But, Mr. Speaker, the only way we can have adequate support for intervention would be to have sufficient staff levels. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, the minister is aware that appointments of healthcare professionals are being revoked. He is calling for intervention. He is calling for more healthcare professionals to support. Mr. Speaker, I heard Honorable Ladi talked about the community health nurses. They are the people who...
I rise pursuant to Order 1221A. Mr. Speaker, my point is that, one, there was no indication in the minister's statement that minus the MMDCs, his ministry is not making interventions. So it is mostly inaccurate for the minority leader to suggest that the absence of MMDCs is hampering and affecting remediable measures being deployed by the ministry in dealing with the problem at hand. That's one. Two, Mr. Speaker, the minority leader is on record for stating emphatically that the president need not appoint or nominate an MC for his constituency or district. He's on record to have said he has not rebutted that reportage. So today, I am surprised that he's crying for an MMDC to be appointed for a Futu. Mr. Speaker, number 3, there is no relevance or connection between the directive to terminate employments done by public agencies ex post facto December 7th and the remediable measures deployed by the Ministry of Health to deal with this matter. Mr. Speaker, the minister has not recounted the inadequacy of staff in dealing with the problem. So it is mischievous for the minority leader to suggest that we are in the process of terminating appointments of health personnel who have been deployed onto the field to deal with the problem. Mr. Speaker, I want to urge the minority leader to avert his mind to the fact that rendering of health services is so decentralized to the very communities. So he should make his point, he should make submissions and praise the minister for the alacrity with which he has moved to deal with the problem and not to be political. I thank you for the opportunity.
Honorable.
Ebusuafo for me da obi bia sese wanyamre no abenya video ni bi nso ahwe me patch of our comment share comment section honom say them can hi daily update TV. Nakopon share na onya Kesi. Stay tuned for more updates. Me da ase.